holiday weekend. I think a bunch of us have tomorrow off, an absolutely beautiful national holiday. So September 1, 2019, finishing a rock solid, amazing August. It's been an epic summer for Organo, and I trust it's been good for you as we start moving into the fall year. The kids are back to school. There's lots of things that start happening, and Organo is in full steam in terms of creating an ecosystem that literally everybody wants to be a part of. So I'm going to share a lot of fun things on this conversation with success. And we're going to start with a quote by a pretty famous guy, and it's a famous quote from Buckminster Fuller. And here's what he said: "You never change things by fighting against the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the old model obsolete." Now, think about that for a moment. You know, people often get set in their ways. They think that, you know, the way things are the way things are. And change for a lot of people is challenging. But that's where we're really, really fortunate to have a visionary like Paul Caldwell, who has now coined the term for Organo, purposefully unordinary. Now, we'll get to that a little bit later, but I want you to think about what's ordinary, especially what's ordinary in the business model of direct sales or network marketing. And I'll share some statistics on that I think will probably shed a little light on why Paul has chosen to go the way he is, why Organo is going the way it is, and why it's such a good idea to join that beautiful mission and movement. So let's start with the definition. Ordinary basically means with no special or distinctive features, basically normal. And you're not very distinct from your crowd. Now, you know, it's been said that, you know, if you want to succeed in life, watch what everybody else is doing and do something completely different, or even the opposite. So the reality is only 2% of our population is going to make it to the top 2%. And those 2% guaranteed are doing something a little bit different. So this is literally from a presentation which is called The State of Network Marketing. And so I have the website there and the source, but it's the World Federation of Direct Sales Association, which is a global follower of the entire industry. I understand that there are literally 60 different direct sales associations, because there's a lot of different countries, but this one says we're going to look at the entire globe. So if we go back to this graph, which literally is 2009, there was a little growth between 2009 and 2011, actually pretty good. But then look at 2011 to 2018 and even 2019. Very, very slow growth. So the growth over those years mathematically is 2.26% per year. Now, that's not anything that you would shout from the rooftops about, especially when you look at the rate of inflation in 2011 was 3.16%, and in 2018, 2.44%. So basically, we have not, the entire industry hasn't kept up with the rate of inflation. Now, that doesn't mean that your company can't thrive, Organo can't thrive, because Organo does, that your team can't thrive. I certainly hope that your team is thriving. If you're plugged in, you're in certainly a better position to do it. And I can tell you that our team is absolutely thriving. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but and we'll go through those. But we are a team that says, okay, we're going to look to the best of the best in the industry. We are going to be students of what really works. We are going to be fans of personal development, getting better, stronger, faster, smarter every single day. And possibly the best thing that I'd like to say is we lead from the heart. And so we have a mindset, and we've attracted a culture that says we want what's good for everybody, for the planet. And if we can find a win-win, let's go for it. And if we can't, you know what, then we love you on your path, wherever it is. And certainly our leadership throughout all of Organo resonates with that. So let's just look at the direct sales as part of the world economy. So I was a little generous. I gave the direct sales industry 200 billion. It's technically 192.9 as of 2018, but I gave it $200 billion a year for rounding numbers. And then the world economy is actually estimated to be at about $80 trillion a year. So 200 billion is a big number. Let's not even think, that that's a small number by any means, but in the grand scale of the global economy, it's just not that big. So it represents 1/4 of 1% of the global economy. And since I bumped this number up a notch, it really represents less than 1/4%. So let's put this in perspective. And Paul Caldwell likes to talk about the pond versus the ocean. But I have a hard time even beginning to imagine how big the ocean is, right? It's huge. This is a nice pool, and it's about 80,000 gallons. So that somewhat represents, if we were to look at 200 gallons of this pool, what the network marketing would look to the global economy. So there's a tiny little beach entry over here. It's actually a little bigger than you see in the photo, but that's about 200 gallons. So when Paul Caldwell talks about the big ocean, he says, you know what, the big fish, right? They swim in the big ocean, and freshwater fish aren't designed for that. So the metaphor is, if you want to go out and compete in the big market, you got to change your game a little bit. You've got to fuel yourself with a little different. You've got to deal with a little more adverse circumstances. You probably even have to deal with some bigger players. But the great news is that we are being equipped to do that. So he also uses the analogy of the lily pads in the pond, and he says, in network marketing, what we see too often is people literally jump from lily pad to lily pad to lily pad, and the whole industry doesn't grow. So I want you to think back, if you knew some of the people that were in network in Organo that actually made a pretty big splash, and they went somewhere else. I can think of some people that made a good living in Organo. They took advantage of the hype and the momentum, and they made a good amount of money, and then they went somewhere else. And some of these people are 5, 6, 7 companies down the road. Now, if you don't know examples like that, they're not hard to verify, but you want to just think, okay, do you want to live in a small pond and jump from lily pad to lily pad, or do you want to connect with a group that literally says, we're going to change the way the entire game is played? And we'll share more about that later. But what I can tell you is that's a mission that we absolutely resonate. We want to raise the playing field. We want to raise our own performance. And as a result, being a part of a much bigger opportunity, there's a lot more for us and those of us that follow that vision. So Paul Caldwell shared this data. So the company Amway is the largest in the direct sales industry. So I looked up their stats. It was about $8.8 billion in sales last year. So they are a huge company, and they provide a great service, and they provide great products. By the way, Amway sales are about like that of network marketing. They're on a pretty flat growth curve. Then we look at Crest toothpaste. One brand of toothpaste has a higher market value than the entire company of Amway. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. How in the world could that be, or would that be? And when you start looking at economics and dollars and cents and just plain numbers, here are the numbers. The global market simply does not place a high value on direct selling companies. Now, that doesn't mean, again, that these companies aren't great. They don't do great things for a lot of people, and they don't have great individuals. But the system has a problem. So what we quite simply want to do is change the way that business is done. So rather than creating a perpetuation of the system that people don't like, why not create a whole new system? So some of you know my personal story. I literally am an entrepreneur. I have a clinic. My wife and I have several clinics or several companies or businesses. I'm a chiropractor. And I have a sign on my door that says, no soliciting. This includes network marketers. Now, why in the world would I ever put a sign like that on my door? Believe it or not, I needed it. When I started getting busy, people would come in and, they would say, wow, this guy's got influence. He's got connections. He has posture. By the way, I take pride in having upright posture because posture is very, very important, not just in life, but in network marketing. And people would come into my office and they would try to sell me their network marketing product. Now, keep in mind, they didn't ask if I had time to listen to something that they had to say. They didn't even lead into it. They just jumped into a sales pitch. And often I would have a hard time getting a word in otherwise. And finally, I'd say, okay, please stop. I've got people that are waiting on me. This is not the time to chat about this. And so ultimately, it became so prevalent, we put a sign on our door and created an office policy. That, by the way, was probably a little block and why it took me more than a year after I fell in love with the Organo products to embrace the business model. But little side story there, my son Jacob Rakowski is my sponsor. Brilliant young man with phenomenal persistence. That's certainly one of his superpowers. And I think he asked me twice a day, every day for a year, and I think I said no at least twice a day, every day for a year. So 730 no's. And Jacob, thank you for that persistence. You've created so much good for our family and the world. And let that also go on to let people know that no often means no, not right now, right? And if you catch the right opportunity, the right circumstance, and use the right leverage and your own superpowers, and Jacob's superpower was persistence and just the fact that I loved him and would support him no matter what, and went to an event, the game changed forever. So I want to share what's new in this last week. So this is a group of our leaders that actually went to Las Vegas. We paid for a pretty big ticket item to visit this gentleman, Eric Worre, at a seminar called Beyond Leadership. Now I'll talk later. I was actually invited to Eric's home twice on this trip for special masterminding sessions with people that were really the peak in the industry. But I want to give a shout out to everybody on our team that invested the time, money, and effort to get there. And what I want you to know is that every one of these people has been featured on Conversations with Success. So we have Jared and Melissa Brennan, both doctors of chiropractic, phenomenally heart-centered. If we were to talk about their superpower, it's again, leading from the heart, and Melissa literally is the best local promoter I've ever seen. I would show up in Rochester, Minnesota, and they would put 100 people in the room. They would pack the room consistently. So she is a master at that, and notice that she's making the investment, they both are, to stepping up their game. I'll go to Jacob and Megan Rakowski. Megan is my beautiful newest addition to the family, daughter-in-law, and I think it's been announced, but guess what? They're going to have a beautiful family too. I think Jacob said that to the world now, and I'm so excited about that. But they are a phenomenal team. Jacob's superpower is persistence, organization. Megan adds artwork, beauty, charm, class, wisdom, and phenomenal natural skincare knowledge to the game. Dennis and Cindy Wong, another power couple, own multiple businesses in Canada. Jacob has accurately called Dennis the most interesting man in the world. You saw him on Conversations with Success. Cindy just is always phenomenal support. And again, super duper heart-centered. And then Organo's, our team's newest diamond, Diane Solano. Can't say enough words about her leadership, about her passion, about her commitment to personal development. She always steps up. She's created a culture of inclusion where everybody is welcome to their meetings in Toronto. And she's had people at her meetings say, you know what, you support me, you love me, literally love, more so than my own direct support line in Organo, my own sponsors. And so thank you all for leading so beautifully. And I'll share the lessons that we learned. But first and foremost, I was at Eric's home, and one of the things that he did in front of a bunch of seven-figure earners was just congratulate me, our Organo family, the entire direct sales industry on Paul Caldwell. He's a personal friend of Eric Worre's. He's a phenomenal leader. They have a long history. I believe that Eric is the best skills builder, skills trainer in the entire industry. And I promise you, I've trained under a ton of them. And I don't know many company owners, but as highly as Eric speaks of Paul Caldwell, my own interactions with Paul Caldwell, I can tell you that we are blessed with an absolutely beautiful future. But at this Beyond Leadership, they talked about both what to do and what not to do. And I think both of those are important. So I'm the guy that really likes to spend the time on the to-dos, but I'm also going to jump into some of the do not do's. So the primary lessons that I got from Beyond Leadership was this: your team will rise or fall with culture, systems, and or consistency. Really, you need all of the above. So what kind of culture is Paul Caldwell creating? We are going to be unordinary. We're going to create a different model. We're going to bring the consumer to the distributor, and we're all going to be partners. So we're going to have supply partners, distribution partners, consumer partners, and then certainly vertical partners. So who has he brought to the game? Well, he's brought in JP Morgan Chase and Visa to create our own OG Pays card. We partnered with Travala. Brian Hafen, I've had a number of conversations with him. This man loves what he does. He loves travel. He loves people creating dream vacations at ways that literally people couldn't ever afford before. He changed the model. He goes back a long way with Paul Caldwell, and he says, Bob, one thing I've known from this man from the start is he has a solid heart and an epic business brain. And then let's go with the HIT philosophy: honesty, integrity, transparency. I reached out to Paul this week because there was a delay in payments, and literally he replied to me at 3 a.m. his time as he's going around the world adding value to our ecosystem. But he says, Bob, I hit it with the financial team. Here's what happened. Everybody's going to get paid Tuesday because Monday was a national holiday. We're going to fix the system so this doesn't happen again. So didn't try to sweep it under the carpet, didn't, say, I don't know what you're talking about. He says, let's hit this and I will get back to you with a full report. So that's the kind of leadership that we have currently, and I think forever really, because this company is going to a lot of different ways. When we look at systems, Eric Worre teaches systems. There's many of them, and we'll teach you our favorites. But he says, what's the characteristic of a good system? Everybody knows it, everybody does it, and it works. So much of Organo knows about the 4 steps, and that was a good system. But I believe we've added value to the system along the way, and we're going to share with you how we've done that. And then finally, consistency. I'll quote again and again my mentor and friend and business partner, Sachin Patel. He's a master of words, and this is just such a visual for me. Consistency carves canyons. So this little trickle of the Colorado River over God knows how many millions of years created this beautiful site called the Grand Canyon. So we'll touch on the don'ts for a little bit because the don'ts are important as well. But here is what Eric Worre reports as the 7 deadly sins in network marketing. And he goes and says, you know what? I've literally done most of these. And I'll say that I've done some of these. I don't think it's most. I got to look at that. No, that's not most. It's some. But at any rate, he's done most of them, and I think a lot of distributors have. How about overinflating the product or income? You know what? I've probably said that, our product is epic. It's fantastic. There's thousands of peer-reviewed medical studies, but I don't think I've overinflated it. And my common answer is, people will often ask me, will Ganoderma help with X, Y, or Z? And my answer is pretty simple. I don't know if it'll help, but it surely won't hurt. Now, there's a lot of data to back that up. No known toxicity in animal models. One country has a report on the spores possibly interacting with blood thinning medications. But there's a standard in the industry. If people are taking blood thinning medications, they need to consistently measure their outcomes, their blood thinning results. And if they make any change in their program, check it again and again and again. So I will tell anybody on any medication, let's see how it changes when you change your program, and work consistently with whoever prescribed it. Inconsistency. You know what? So many people can go for a little period of time and then just plain disappear. And I think that's not just a sin of network marketing, but of life. So does everybody know what it takes to be lean and fit? I believe they do, right? Eat right, exercise, and it's not that complicated, but we just don't do it. So there's a book I read years ago. It was entitled, "If How-Tos Were Enough, We'd All Be Skinny, Rich, and Happy." Assuming you wanted to be skinny. How about lean, rich, and happy? But it just takes consistent effort. And by the way, good guidance helps with that. Negativity. There's no place for it. There really isn't. You want to look for the good in everybody and everything every time. One of my mentors said this, look, everybody has something to offer. They can even serve as a poor example. But there's no sense in saying anything not right about the competition that would be construed as negative. Now, when we say that the growth rate of the direct sales industry is flat, is that negative or is that a fact? I think it's a statement of how fact is. Now, can we put a positive spin on that? Sure we can. It may be flat, but it's there, and there are epic companies with epic growth and epic opportunities and epic distributors. And in fact, I strongly suspect that many of these companies are going to follow our model of playing in the ocean, raising the ceiling on all that we're doing, getting into that $80 trillion a year and growing global economy. Idea of the week. So many people get distracted by some bright, shiny object. Don't let that be you. If you know what you want and you are very dedicated to focus, you will get there. Remember that you want to really focus on your mission, your goal, your product, your service, your support line, your team, and certainly your ecosystem. And, you know, it's not really the world economy that matters, it's your economy that matters. And how do we get compensated? We get compensated by the number of people that we help and how much we help them. So let's help a lot of people a lot, and then we will create our own fortune. Sleeping around, you know what, there's people that have done it. I guess in every company, there were people that had huge network marketing businesses that did that. So no need to talk about that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You know, if you're the type of person that, I don't know, has a need for affection, there's plenty of people out there to provide it. 7.7 people on planet Earth. Even if you have several thousand people on your team and your company, there's still going to be billions that aren't there. Stealing distributors? Never. Never, never, never. You want to poison your team's respect for you? Go ahead and take something from somebody else. Remember, we reap what we sow. Don't do that. And then finally, bouncing from company to company. I listened to an interview of 25 people that had had 25 or more years in network marketing, and they had bounced from company to company to company. And the person I was interviewing, Richard Bliss Brooks, said, what would have happened if you would have stayed with your one company, assuming now that that company it was still in business? And they all said, I would have a ton of money and a beautiful team and a great life. So you just can't be jumping from company to company. Now, Paul Caldwell will tell you, you know what, if you think you've got a better thing for you and your family, then Organo blesses you. Go and enjoy and do what you know to be right or what you think to be right for you and your family. Organo welcomes you where you are and whatever you're doing. So understand that, you know, we've had people that have even started their own company. I don't know that that's ever happened, a directly competitive company. I don't know that that's ever happened in the history of direct sales where that person didn't lose their distributorship. But Paul Caldwell said it simply, you know what, we owe a great debt of gratitude to Holton Bugs, right, who started another travel company. He was a great man and a great leader, and he did so much, and we appreciate him. And if that's what's best for him, then we love him and we support him. And I love that mindset, and we feel the exact same. We appreciate all of our previous leaders, and we wish them all the best of success. So what do we want people to say when they look at our system? Well, this looks simple. I think it'll work, and I think that I could do it. And the system, again, everybody knows it, everybody does it, and it works. So here's our little modification of the four-step system. Number one, they used to say be a product of the product. I agree, be a walking billboard. So we have so much that we can offer. And now when we start looking at Travala and BU, we can walk around with a better smile, better skin, better everything. I love seeing the testimonials from people that were using other types of skincare, or a lot of beautiful ladies that weren't comfortable without makeup because they didn't like the shine of their skin. And then when they start using BU, the radiance within them comes out. Travala, so many people have bought those packages, the Forever Weeks. They still have a few tweaks to work out within the software. I know Brian is going to get on and do a Zoom sometime in the near future with a lot of the updates. I have been on their sites. I've seen their inventory. The world is ours at a better price than it's ever been before. So utilize every one of the services every day. That makes sense. Now, number two, I like to earn the right to make a recommendation. So they used to say, make a list. Well, if we were to pull out a smartphone and look at it, I'm imagining that you have a lot of contacts in that smartphone. You have a lot of contacts on Facebook. You might want to take a pen and paper and write those things down, and then start adding value to people. Make a connection. It's been said that people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And just have a conversation. Get together over coffee. It's very, very rare that I meet somebody and I start pitching them on either the product or the opportunity. It still happens. But I connect with them and I start building a relationship. I start understanding their needs, their wants, their don't wants. I want to know about their family. I want to know about their goals. I want to know about their dreams, what makes them happy, things like that. And then along the way, it could be something simple. I heard Paul Caldwell compliment, I didn't hear him, I heard him say, he complimented a woman on a flight. He says, you have beautiful skin. What do you use for your skincare? And she told him, he says, you know what, I've invested in a skincare company. I'd love your feedback. Can I get you some samples? Think about that with coffee. You could say, listen, my family has a coffee business. That sounds, if you're a millennial and you're, 23 years old and saying, yeah, I've got my own coffee company, or I've invested in a coffee business. All those are true. But I think if you make the statement, my family has a coffee business, right? And you and your family are one and the same. I would love to, get your recommendation on a few samples. We also have now plenty of people on our team, and I'm going to give a huge shout out to Emily Morrow, who is the queen of selling samples. She is phenomenal online. She reaches out and says, look, take the 7-day challenge, and instead of giving away product, she's selling it and making money. And I'm going to make not such a bold prediction. Emily Morrow is going to win the chairman's bonus, along with several of you that are watching this, and she's going to be on Necker Island for that private wealth building seminar. And I'll say a little bit more about that later. But earn the right every day to make a recommendation. So Eric Worre's a big fan of Facebook Live and social media and all these other things. He says if you're not utilizing these things, you're literally, flushing money every single day. So it's a better opportunity to make connections and add value. And literally, I've met 7-figure earners that they built their entire business by giving people compliments on Facebook, starting a conversation, sharing a product, sharing an opportunity, and building the business from there. we want to share our new paradigm. And I think that's very, very important. Purposely unordinary. We have an ecosystem where literally everybody in our supply chain, especially the coffee farmers, are going to win bigger than ever before. The distribution partners are going to win bigger than ever before, and the customers are going to win bigger than ever before. So who doesn't want to be involved in an ecosystem where literally everybody wins? You can be beautiful, you can be rich, you can be healthy, you can be lean, you can travel the world, you can literally get travel points on your daily purchases, you can empower people across the globe. Who wouldn't, if they actually understood that? Who wouldn't want to be a part of this ecosystem? I can tell you that, literally everybody I know sees the value of this. Now we just got to be connected to them when the timing is right for them. And then number 4, the power of live events. You want to promote events. And so, we have our next Unite coming up, and of course there's going to be the European, the Latin American, the Asian conventions. Those are all available to all of us. But let's take it a step further. You can create your own event. We have plenty of people out there that are very, very good at that. The prime example again is Diane Solano, the diamond that created 9 events in 12 months and packed the house. That is a road to success. So these live events are going to change things for people that are ready for change. It is a phenomenal catalyst. Now, I've also heard people in network marketing say, well, I don't understand. I went to that event. I didn't get the same thing. Well, maybe be in a more receptive position. Maybe, get a little further along in that abundance mentality. And plug in and start bringing more and more people. Maybe you went to the event and you didn't get much out of it, but what if you brought 100 team members? I promise you, some of them gotten something out of that, and they are going to build your business. So let's just talk a little bit more about our ecosystem and how it's evolving. So functional beverages, I got this directly from the Unite convention. $100 billion a year, wellness, $679 billion a year, beauty, $141 billion a year, payment remittance, $679 billion a year, and Travala, $8.8 trillion. You start looking at those numbers and you come to realize that we have access to so much that is far beyond what direct sales has. And then I'll actually challenge you, if you've thought about travel before, go ahead and look at some of the other network marketing travel companies and see what Travala offers in terms of price of entry and inventory and ease of maintaining access compared to these other companies. I've looked at a few of them, a few of the big players, and Travala crushes the competition. Remember what I'll give you a quote, and it was from Jack Welch, so I took a second to catch who said it. But Jack Welch was CEO of the last century. He said, if you don't have a competitive advantage, don't try to compete. So we have a patented competitive advantage on Ganoderma and coffee and tea. We've got this phenomenal portal at a very low entry price with the great variety. When you start looking at this ability to actually earn trip points, money points, Travala points on everyday spending, absolutely phenomenal. What the company's going to do with that is going to be just off the charts for the ecosystem. And they're also going to get into microloans, and I'm going to have a little special commentary on that. And then finally, beauty. Now, I was, again, part of a couple of different sessions outside of the Mastermind Summit. But here's what 7-figure earners did. We all, not all of us, 35 of us gathered in Eric Worre's house, and he had all of us stand up and say what was working within our group. And this was the consensus from all 35 people. You want to lead by consistently creating phenomenal customer experiences, phenomenal distributor experiences, by promoting events, and by celebrating micro wins. And we're going to go into all of those, but it is our customer. And therefore, we want to create the experience. It is our distributor. We want to create that experience. There's been a few hiccups with back orders and things like that, but I promise you, people that stayed plugged in to keep the experience good for everybody can even grow through these times, and these challenging times are fading away. They'll never be perfect, but we are in such a better position today and getting stronger every single day. So Jeff Bezos is now the richest man on planet Earth. I think I saw a reference that estimated his worth at about 160 billion. That's with a B, $billion. And he is a huge fan of the customer experience and a big advocate of it. Here's what he said. He says, we see our customers as invited guests to a party, and we are the hosts. It's our job every day to make every important aspect of the customer experience a little bit better. Success leaves clues. If you can step up and you can provide that type of consistent experience for your customers, you're going to get there faster. I actually haven't seen someone push a Q&A button before on me, and I can't read it, but someone did ask a question. I just can't access it. That's a little bit unique. Another thing that they said was you want to create micro wins. Everybody loves to win, and we can make it easier if we just get a little creative. So once this theme was consistently stated, I literally, stopped the conversation. I raised my hand. I said, Eric, I've got a question for you. Can the win be too small? Is there such a thing as too small a win? And he sat there and stroked his goatee and just kind of went, you know what? I don't think so. I don't think you can have a win that's too small. A win is a win. And then, by the way, he almost said there's no celebration too big even for that small win. So I have reached out to some of my distribution partners that they've been a little flat in their growth. I said, can you sell one sachet of coffee today? Just one to one person. And we create a little bonus. And guess what? They did. They did. So here's what I like to tell people. Guess what? If you can sell one today, you can sell one tomorrow. And if you can sell one tomorrow, you can sell one the next day. And once you get consistent about that, you're going to find people that are absolutely in love with your product. And as they start telling you their testimonials and how their life has changed and how their experience is better, you can let them know there's three options. You can be a retail customer. I'm happy to sell it to you and serve you for the rest of my existence. You can be a wholesale buyer. You can get it at our cost and join our ecosystem, or you could get paid to consume and or share the product. And that is what builds wonderful businesses, that great customer experience. And there's the idea again about a celebration. When people win, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Eric Worre said off the charts celebration, even irrational celebration. And I want to give a big shout out to my son Jacob, who created a little video for people that rank advanced this month, and he's blowing a horn and wearing a party hat and has a trophy and a heartfelt congratulations. And that's a big win, because once you take that step, you are on the path to greatness. And I'm going to encourage everybody to celebrate these wins. Most people are not celebrated enough. Robin Sharma says this. He says, celebrate small wins and you'll unleash a huge amount of momentum and positive energy. So let's keep all of that moving forward. As you want to lead from your position of strength. So develop your superpowers. And here's one thing that I know in my heart to be true. Everybody, not just on this call, but everybody on planet Earth has some superpower. Now, I don't know what it is for most people, and I wonder if most people even know. But do a little soul searching. Get a little bit quiet. Sit back and just do that soul searching. Listen to the wisdom of the universe and figure out what is your unique gift and how can you share it. And this is a beautiful platform to share so many different gifts. I start thinking about the woman, I think her name is Cynthia, that Organo made the documentary of, who she is the retail queen. I believe she has over a six-figure income a year with retail. She has made making a cup of coffee and serving it a work of art, a work of passion, a gift to the universe. And she is beautifully rewarded for that. And as are we, by seeing how she's just raised the bar for all of us to step our game up. John Maxwell, I've seen him in person a handful of times. Absolutely brilliant author. This is a quote from his book, Leader Shift. Now, he originally wrote the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and then he realized that there's been such a shift in leadership that he created a whole new book called just that, Leader Shift. And here's what he said: leaders must be willing to let go of what worked yesterday and learn new ways of seeing, doing, and leading. So, yesterday was a long time ago, and there's no getting it back. So what worked literally yesterday may not work today. We have this evolving world, and we want to evolve with the times. So I want to make a comment on that. My mentors say this: if a leader looks at you and says, follow me, they say, turn around and run. What you want to do is follow you. Connect to your heart, connect to your mission, connect to your soul, connect to your highest self, and let that highest self lead you. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't have groups that work together and one person is essentially going to be the person calling the shots for that group or leading by example, because there's plenty of room for that. But ultimately, follow you. And that's what I love, again, so much about this organization, this company, leading from the heart. Now, it all starts with you. I love this quote: if you can lead one, you can lead many. If you can't lead one, you can't lead any. A quote from Stephen Jobs. He's left us now, but absolutely brilliant. Here's what he said: Apple is not about making boxes for people to get their jobs done, although we do that well. Apple is about something more. Its core value is that we believe that people with passion can change the world for the better. So are you that person with passion? If so, connect with all of us other passionate people and lead for the better. Final note on training in terms of what we actually offer. Warren Buffett, an absolute sage of wisdom, considered by many the best investor of all time, said, you know, with my money I can buy anything that I want except time. I can't buy time. But maybe we could help Warren with that, because literally we have this amazing ability to multiply time. So I've used this example before. If I work 100 hours per week, there's 60 minutes in every one of those hours. That's going to be 6,000 minutes a week. But what if I build a team of 1,000 business partners, distribution partners, who all can find 15 minutes a day? And that's the beautiful thing about this modern world. You literally can build this business in the nooks and crannies of your day. This is a cell phone connected era. A text can go a long way. A Facebook comment can go a long way. A WhatsApp can go a long way. And I don't mean long way just around the world. I mean a long way to start a relationship, to make a connection, to move things forward. But if you can find 1,000 business partners, and by the way, you don't have to find all 1,000, just putting in 15 minutes a day, that's 15,000 minutes a day, way more in people's spare time than you alone can accomplish 100 hours per week. How are you going to get those 1,000? Well, it starts with just a few really good builders. If you go by twos, it goes slower and takes more generations, or threes or fours or fives, but I like this 5 effect because I think it's very, very reasonable that if you literally made a connection every day, shared the product every day, shared the ecosystem every day, and just one person a day if you want to just do it at that rate. Over the course of a year, I think it's very, very reasonable that 5 people would say, wow, this makes sense. I want to be a part of it. Well, then you spend your next year training those 5 to do what you did. Now, you can plug them into events, you can plug them into online, you can plug them into your plugged-in upline. There's so many different ways to do it. But then wave 2, however long that takes, you get 25 more people. Wave 3, 125. Wave 4, 625. Wave 5, 3,000. 125 people. So I use the number 1,000. That's almost 4,000 if all those people stay in. But that's how you start getting 1,000 business partners. It starts with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and it grows exponentially as you empower people. Not only then do you have the ability to multiply time and effort and influence, you're impacting lives. And remember, we get paid by how many people we help and how much we help them. And I promise you, if you get 1,000 people that just get a couple of customers making a better choice in coffee and tea, your life, your finances, your circumstance, your future is going to be so much better. Now back to this conversation on microloans. This woman was telling her story for some private coaching with Eric Worre on a special extra day. And by the way, that one extra day, it was a big ticket. It was a $5,000 day. So she had the money to spend that and to travel from Nigeria. And her story was harsh. You know, as I heard her say it, there was multiple times where she literally woke up from an unconscious state after she had been beaten bloody when she realized that she needed to get out of her circumstances. And so she left. She had no money. She didn't have any way to take care of herself. And someone borrowed her $100. Now that's in the category of microloan. She then invested in a network marketing company, and I didn't even catch the name of her company, and parlayed that into a multiple 6-figure income within a period of a few years. Now, how did she do it? Well, she had a why. She had passion. She had reason. And she was very, very hungry. And she obviously invested in herself and her skill set. One of my favorite definitions of success equals hunger times skills. If you're hungry and you put in the skills, you're going to get there. So I want you to think about that. If either your hunger or your skills are a 0, you're going to get nowhere. But if you have infinite hunger and even a fraction of skills, you can go a long way. If you have infinite skills and even a fraction of hunger, you can go a long way. What if you combine both? And that's what this ecosystem offers. There's so much training. There's so many people to reach up to. I'm going to encourage every one of you to get to the next convention, which I believe is Europe. Start planning on your personal development journey. Connect with your plugged-in sponsor, your success line. Go back and find out who's winning in this and find out what's working in their world. I'm more than happy to share what's working in ours. We create a phenomenal customer experience. We create a phenomenal distributor experience. We have a culture that is heart-centered. We have a culture that works on personal development. And we work together because none of us are as smart as all of us. None of us are as strong as all of us. Final comment is the gentleman there is Sir Richard Branson, and that's his private island, which is called Necker Island. There's some of the beautiful features of Necker Island. When Paul Caldwell announced the chairman's bonus last year, I looked at the island and I thought, oh my gosh, that looks like Sir Richard Branson's island. Now, they haven't given all the details, but plenty of people around the world, including Kelly and myself, have qualified for this private, all expenses paid wealth building seminar, which is the chairman's bonus. So I want you to know that this company has your back. They have a heart. They have know-how. They're creating and changing a business model where literally everybody wins. And as we get better at being a walking billboard for the product, as we get better at earning the right to make a recommendation by connecting heart to heart with people, when we understand the power of this new ecosystem and the paradigm, and we consistently promote events, we can create the life of our dreams. I would love to see every one of you on the island. I know that Paul Caldwell's committee says if we need 2 trips, if we need 3 trips, if we need 4 trips, whatever we need, we want to support our distribution partners. Plug in and let's get there. And I'll finish with a very, very, very simple final comment. I know that absolutely every one of us can be happy, healthy, and successful And this ecosystem is the best thing I've seen to accomplish all of those. And by the way, I'm going to say I've been studying hard at looking how to achieve this for about 4 decades. I'm honored to be a part of this beautiful ecosystem and culture, and I wish you all the very best. Good night, and God bless.